future, talk radio will actually educate, inspire, and make you think. The future is now. Topics and music that affect your life from Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com.
Greetings and salutations, everyone. You have tuned into Dr. Judy, WTF. I'm trying to find our audience clapping. I guess they skipped out today.
Well, we're going to have the real people calling
We
in,
are. You're going
so
to call in.
It's okay.
And this is a call-in show, and you can call us at area code 323-843-2826. And who are you calling? Dr. Judy, WTF, which is What the Freud. I'm your host, Walt Lusk, and, of course, we have Dr. Judy Rosenberg in the house. She is world famous and world famous author and founder of the Psychological Healing Center. You can catch us here every Thursday at 8 p.m. Pacific here at UBN Radio. And we are on Channel 2, and you can Skype us if you're international at UBN Radio number 2. And we are going to continue our show on our series on contact versus no contact from a narcissistic perspective. We had some calls last week, and we've got a lot more information to go through, and we have a call on hold. So what's new, Doctor, about contact or no contact with narcissists?
Well, I just wanted to share a little bit about why it's so painful with the contact. And, of course, I really want to overemphasize the fact that it's a case-by-case basis. It's an individual person's individual choice, whether they want to go no contact with the parents that inflicted pain and suffering, or a partner or anybody really in your life that has inflicted pain and suffering. It's completely up to you whether you want to go contact, no contact, modified contact minimal, however you want to do it. Today I became very clear when I was in the treatment room with one of my patients that when you're raised with by narcissistic parents who take more than they give, that's what I mean by narcissistic parents, whether it be mom or dad. They're really taking your energy, and you become vampired from them. What happens in this case is that the person that's being depleted is also being infiltrated with a lot of what I call psychoviral messages that boil down to you're not lovable, or you're not worth it, or you're not important, something along those lines. And so this message has been so frequently relayed that the person is literally flooded with these messages. Okay, it's
barraged.
Like barrage. It's boom, 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 boom. Yeah. Okay, so now every cell is filled with this, quote, messenger RNA, if you will, of these encoded verbal and pre-verbal, nonverbal messages, to the point where the person is really, really struggling to let go of their negative core belief. It's a very, very difficult thing, because even though the person might understand theoretically and logically that they are good enough or that they are lovable, they don't have that mirroring, which is so important to help a person to get a sense of self, to see themselves in a positive way in someone else's eyes. So literally the eyes become caustic. The eyes become painful for them to look into.
Some said that's the gateway to the soul.
Well, there's no gateway here. There's a gateway to hell is what it is, because they look into the
highway
eyes.
To hell. We should have shrinked that song.
Highway to hell, right. And so when they look into the eyes of another, what they're seeing is judgment, blame, shame, criticism, some form of demeaning, devaluing, destroying. And so the eye contact is minimal. And not only that, but the thought of making eye contact is a painful concept, because then they're really looking into the eyes of darkness and criticism, and they'd rather look away. So it becomes very difficult for them to let down their narcissistic shell, if you will.
So you're telling me they're radically insecure.
They're radically injured to the point where it's so difficult for them to trust that another person really has good regard for them, because in their world, anybody is, you know how I say parents set the bar, parents set the bar. So if your parents don't regard you with unconditional love, then why would that other person who's not a parent do so? So then it becomes a sense of, I don't want to, now that I'm in the healing process, now that I'm deconstructing the wounds of childhood and trying to heal from them, I don't want to re-injure myself by putting myself in the face of that narcissistic parent who will then re-trigger this negative core belief, which we so much work on in the course of the treatment. So I just wanted to put that out there, that contact in some cases can re-injure. And that's why in some cases it is best to go no contact, because at the end of the day, it really is about your feeling better and about your healing and about your being number one, because the reverse was so true for so many years. So it's time to make that shift. And I know we have a caller.
We do a call, but real quick, I just want to touch on this real quick. Narcissists are never happy. They are full of jealousy, rage, insecurity, and hatred. Due to this, he or she has a load of vile bile stewing in their stomach cavity at all times, and they need someone to project their vomit onto. They have no real identity, only an illusion of themselves, built on the ability to control other people.
Right,
and that's
and
pretty heavy stuff, but
and not a person that you want to be in the pathway of.
No,
right.
Absolutely not.
Please do ask your question. And who is calling? Please?
So hey, thanks for holding. You
Yes.
are on the air and on the couch with Dr. Judy.
Yeah, hello, Dr. Judy.
Hi.
My name is Paul, and what you just described is exactly what I've been dealing with, especially in regards to the core belief. You said the parents set the bar, and I've really been trying to explain this to people, that for the longest time, I damaged a lot of relationships and a lot of friendships because I was under the impression that when people were saying nice things to me or being nice to me, I thought that they were doing it out of pity or whatever,
Right.
And pulled away because I was like, no, my family knows me better than anyone else does, and they definitely didn't treat me like the person that I am. Well, over the last, I'd say, 4 or 5 years, what you described as a core belief, I started to build up like a more honest image of myself.
Okay.
But now I'm back where you were saying, where the no contact comes in. I'm in the middle of contact with my family, and it's difficult to get out of at the moment. And you're talking about eye contact. Eye contact with other people is okay, but it's like looking in the mirror right now and all that stuff. It's like, it's really difficult because they've reasserted themselves into my life.
Yes. And they have powerful eyes, if you know what I mean, physically and metaphorically speaking. So they can burn these messages back into you, which is why you want to look away. And so I really, first of all, your name is Paul, correct?
Yes, correct.
And where are you calling from? What state?
Stockton, California.
Where?
Stockton, California.
Oh, Stockton, California. Okay, great. Okay, so when you look in the mirror, you said it's a painful process as well?
Yeah, lately occasionally. I mean, it's not all the time, but usually at night. Sometimes I wake up and it's just because right now my situation is, I just discovered your work, Dr. Judy, and it's really helped frame what I'm dealing with. It's what I've been describing to other people, but other people don't listen because it's me versus my parents, and I end up losing.
Yeah.
So
it's a losing battle because it's 2 against 1.
Yeah.
You're kind of ganging up on you. You're outnumbered and outmanned.
Yeah, and then also, like when I try to describe the situation, because my situation is really materially tied up in my family right now, my parents. So it's even more difficult because it's difficult to explain to people without them thinking like, well, look, what did you do to cause this? And I'm like, I really haven't done anything. And there's, people tend to think that there's like two sides of this or whatever, but
Well, one thing is when you are financially tied up with your family, oftentimes there's got to be some kind of a minimal contact, right? Because you're doing business together, or is it a case of you're doing business together? What's going on there?
Well, about 4 or 5 years ago, I went down to LA to work with someone, and it fell apart. And I'd been told my whole adult life, hey, Paul, if you ever need to come home, you can always come home, which I'd always never believed. I always thought that I'd end up in the situation where I'm at right now.
Mm-hmm.
I had no choice, and I went back to my parents' house, and real quick, I stayed with them for a month, and they told me everything was okay. I stayed there, if I stayed there with them, and I was trying to get back on my feet. And then a month in, I came to visit my brother here in Stockton. They were in Livermore. And stayed the night here. I got a call from my mom, and she was like, the next morning, she's like, hey, Paul, me and your dad, we just think it'd be better if you didn't stay at the house anymore.
Just like that. No warning.
Boom.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. It would have been nice had they discussed a plan with you to get stronger and get on your feet and have some sort of an exit plan, if you will.
Well, even more than that is that I really had no place to go.
Mm-hmm.
I came and visited my brother, and we weren't on the best of terms. And so I was forced to sleep on the couch at my brother's house, and he already had a full house.
Yeah.
I thought that I'd done something wrong. I went back to their house. I grabbed all my stuff that I had there when they were at work.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote them a letter saying I apologize for whatever I did.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing that I think I'm finally talking to someone that I think gets where I'm coming from. I talked to my mom about a month later. I'd avoided talking to them because I felt terrible. I thought I'd done something really awful.
Okay.
And I asked them, I go, what did I do that made you guys want to ask me to leave?
Great question. Great question. Okay. And their answer was?
Well, first of all, I just wanted to let you know they had to have known that I was sleeping on the couch or the situation. My mom literally just said to me, well, Paul, we just like it better when you're not living here.
Jeez. Okay. So first they give you comfort and then they kick you in the butt, and it's just too radical. And so who is it really about? Who's the center here?
Yeah.
Right?
It's always about them.
So that's the problem with narcissistically injured parents, and I call them that because they too were injured, and that's why they're behaving this way. They have no sense of empathy, okay? And if they felt that way about you, then they could have talked to you about it while you were there, and they could have planned with you some sort of a way for you to get stronger and then find a way to to help you to relocate into something that was feasible. Okay, exactly. So I want you to try this exercise, okay, because you really identified with this aspect of being loaded with the psychovirus and being infiltrated by these messages. So what happens is the reason you're apologetic and you feel like crap about yourself is because you've bought into how they see you. Does that make sense? So literally your eyes, like your self-perception, your eyes have a cracked lens of perception, and they cracked the lens, and now you bought into it. So when you look in the mirror and you look at yourself, you're literally looking at yourself with critical eyes, the same way your parents are looking at you. And that's why it's so painful, is because you've literally adopted their vision of you, and now you're projecting it onto yourself. So, okay.
Real quick, I'm sorry, Dr. G, I don't mean to interrupt you. I would just say that I don't buy into it at this point.
Okay.
but how can I say this? Like when I apologized, that was coming from a place, honestly, of strength, because I felt comfortable enough, like, to even ask why or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Okay.
But real quick, if I could just explain my current situation. So the house I ended up in with my brother, I've been here for about 3 years now, or 4 years, I don't even know. And my brother moved out. He's just like my parents. He reinforces all that. Like, you explained something about the sibling dynamic.
Yeah, that the parents set the siblings up. So I know we're really short on time. Do you have another question regarding your situation? Go ahead and ask the question.
Yeah. The real quick question is I involved a family therapist to try to gain some protection with me and my family. My parents are paying for it though.
Okay.
I don't know how to get the counselor to really listen to me. She seems to have taken their side.
Okay,
but they're not even involved in the process. It's just me, and it's not going anywhere. So
okay, so just realize this, okay? You are in a hostage situation, it sounds like, financially, and they're paying, so they hold the cookie jar, so to speak, and they are buttering the therapist's side of the bread, so guess who the loyalty is going to lean toward, right?
Yeah.
And so right now, it's really, really important that you consult with somebody that's, quote, not on their team. Understood?
Yeah.
And if funds are an issue, you know that we have people on staff who are sliding scale as well, starting from $80, just to put it out there, okay, $80 a session. And so you can definitely avail yourself of that so that you don't get caught in this trap ever again. And it's really, really important for you to get your own team going, even if you have to seek low-fee legal help and so on, because they're not your voice. They're not on your side.
They're not on
it's
your
very
team.
important, and neither are your siblings.
Yeah. And don't co-sign their BS.
No. And no contract signing either, which is co-signing their yes.
No co-signing anything.
Right. No, none of that. Okay. So, Paul, I hope that helped. And if you want further help, please reach out. Okay. And do get a copy of the book, because it'll outline the injuries and how they embed and how to morph out. And so this is, hugely painful and possibly financially painful for you, but you've got to extricate yourself from this situation. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Judy. I really appreciate it.
You're so welcome. My pleasure. Take care.
Well, hi, and your next caller. Hi, thanks for calling. You are on the couch with Dr. Judy.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, this is David.
Hey,
Hi, David. Where are you calling from?
How are you doing?
Great.
Good.
I'm in Texas.
Oh, very nice. Nice to hear from you. Ask away. Go ahead and ask questions and tell me and Walt, tell us what's going on with you and how we can help.
Well, I'm definitely going through the no contact experience here.
Okay.
I haven't been in contact with my parents or most of my family for over a year.
Okay.
And I basically moved out of Los Angeles and moved to Texas, and I just started. I got my real estate license, became a realtor, and I'm starting as of a couple weeks ago. And now that after a year of kind of like living off the grid, so to speak,
Yes.
all of a sudden I'm going to be very public, and it's causing me a lot of anxiety all of a sudden.
You mean public in what sense?
Well, as a realtor, you have to get onto social media nowadays.
Yeah.
And, people will know where to find me.
Okay, so first of all, congratulations that you've moved on.
Yeah.
It takes a lot to cut the cord. Unfortunately, sometimes the cord is so poisoned that there's no light left, and not only no light left, but a lot of darkness coming your way. So whatever you did, whatever you found within yourself to move away and start your own life is a really big deal.
Absolutely.
And that you had the wherewithal to go study, get a license. So congratulations. So here you are at the beginning of a new career, correct?
Yes.
And so the fear is always, okay, so let me ask you some questions and see if you can identify with this. Okay, so with narcissistically injured parents, who wants to be the star?
Well, in my case, the parents.
In your case, of parents. Okay, so even though you have cut the cord, right, isn't there always a little bit left in a child that wants to please the parent, that wants to have the relationship, even though there's a recognition that it's poisonous? Isn't that so?
Yeah, that wishful thinking bit that's gotten me in trouble many a time.
Right, not that you're going to act on it, okay, but there's that thing inside, it's a big deal to have a parent or not have a parent. It's, Jungian archetypal psychology says that the mother, the proverbial mother, the proverbial father is a huge symbol in mythology and psychology and all walks of life. So it's very painful. And so now you're going public, you're getting more successful, right? And so what does a narcissistically injured parent not want for a child that's cut them off?
To be able to survive on his own. Again.
Exactly.
To be successful in a bigger way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if there's a little bit of you that still yearns for, not that you're going to act on it, not that I suggest that you act on it, but if there's a little bit of you that still yearns for that connection, then your success is actually in some way injurious to your parents. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, but part of me also fears retribution for it.
Maybe rightly so. So what do you think they may do? Okay, so your reputation is out there. Are they so poisonous? Are they so demeaning, devaluing, and destroying that you think that they might actually act out and ruin you in some way, shape, or form?
I don't know. I mean, maybe. I mean, part of it might be just like that old, kind of like going back to like falling into the walking on eggshells kind of experience. Like
okay.
You never know what's going to set them off and what they're capable of doing.
Are they vengeful?
They have the resources to do whatever they want to do. So
okay, so they're wealthy people. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I have when I went no contact. I mean, I don't know anything about them. I mean, anymore. I mean,
okay.
I couldn't tell you where they are. I mean, for all I know, they're not even alive. I don't know.
Do they know where you are?
Pretty much.
Well, that's what his fear is that now that he's public,
you don't know. Okay.
They may look you up.
I've done everything I could to not let them know.
Okay, so what is your fear? What's the worst case scenario? So you go public, you're now out there as a realtor, and they can obviously Google you, look you up online. So what is your worst fear? What's the worst they can do to you?
I guess well, we were in business together, so even though we're no longer in business together, they could use legal actions, bringing back stuff to just mess with me, I guess.
Okay, and is there anything that they have on you legally that they can use against you?
Well, yes, to a degree, yes.
Okay,
yes.
And do you have a good attorney? Do you have a good attorney?
Like well, yeah, I mean, I do, but it still doesn't mean that they can't come after me.
Okay, understood. And so this is the danger of cutting them off, right? You take a risk because by cutting them off, you can really make them angry, correct? And I guess they haven't been able to contact you up till now. Is that
right.
so?
Correct.
So you don't know how they feel. Okay, so I think you know your parents enough to know that you might need some legal protection, correct? Yes?
I guess only in the event that they take legal action.
So then why don't you just enjoy the success that's coming your way? Make sure that you seek legal help. And furthermore, make sure that you have handled your negative core belief, because if your negative core belief is alive and well, core beliefs like I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable, I'll never be successful, I'm a loser, then there's your saboteur, okay? And your with all the success that you'll gain for yourself, you just want to make sure that that core belief, that negative core belief, doesn't jump out at you and sabotage your success. Just remember that just because a person goes no contact and wants to disappear their parents, it doesn't mean that we control these vengeful people. And of course, they're free agents. They could do whatever they want. We just have to make sure that we do it wisely, smartly, legally, and CYA in every possible way.
Cleanly.
Okay? And so you just have to move on with your life. You can't sit there fearing that they're going to do whatever, because they're going to do whatever they want to do anyway. What are you going to do? Go in hiding? Do you want to leave the country and get an alias? I mean, you can do that, I suppose. Be hard to do legally.
I don't have the ability to do that.
Okay. So then you just live your life, love what you're doing, and congratulate yourself on moving ahead. And then they're going to do what they're going to do, and then it's like chess. Okay, they do this, and then you do that, and don't worry about it until they do whatever. And who knows? And in a lot of cases, narcissists will just move on to their next prey.
Yeah, they really have. When you're not giving them the narcissistic supply, they're going to go find somebody else pretty darn quick.
Right.
And just remember, you're in Texas, so you've got huge highways. And on the highway of life, you've got this big highway in front of you and a big windshield. Don't focus on the rearview mirror of what's behind you, because if you focus on the rearview mirror while you're blazing down the road of success, you might crash.
Yeah.
So just stay focused ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. So I
that
do
makes
appreciate
sense.
your concern, and they're probably valid concerns. You just have to really CYA and move ahead.
And we got to move on. So thanks for calling, and stay in touch, David.
Yeah, thank you,
Thanks
David.
for calling.
Well, thank you very much.
All the best in your
All
new
right.
career.
God bless.
Okay.
Thanks for holding and calling. This is Walt and Judy. You're on the air, on the couch with Dr. Judy.
Hi, Paul.
Hi.
How
are you?
Good. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Southern Cal.
Southern Cal?
Irvine.
Okay, and your name?
Yeah. Yeah, my name is Alvin.
Hey, Alvin.
Nice to meet you.
Hey,
Hi.
how are you?
Good.
Yeah,
thank you.
thank you so much for your show. I know you got 3,000 subscribers, but I think you deserve 1 million.
Well, thank you. We have way more
Very
listeners
sweet.
than that, but thank you.
I'm really glad to get your call in. We love
we
call-ins.
truly appreciate every one of them.
Yeah.
So thanks you.
You know, these days when I drive, I just listen to your shows. So,
Oh my goodness.
you know, it's really so helpful in my
Thank
life.
you
But
so-
I got
thank
a
you so
question.
much.
I got a
Yeah,
friend.
go
Fire-
for it.
fire away.
Go ahead.
Was raised by a narcissist mom, and that affected her relationships, you know. And later on, she married an alcoholic husband
Okay.
who deserted the family, and then they had a child. And the husband left the child when they were when she was like 7 years old, and now she's 18 years old.
This is your half brother or sister?
No, it's a friend of mine. I work with her.
Oh, a friend of yours. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but I've been looking into your shows, so I've been kind of like getting information on that.
Okay.
And anyways, this daughter is like 18, and she has gone no contact with mom, and you know has decided to just leave the family. I think one of the major factors too was when my friend was younger, she left her daughter in Philippines, so immigration played a part in it.
Yeah. Okay.
And so she experienced some abandonment
Yeah.
issues, I think.
Yeah.
And then also with the alcoholic dad that abandoned the family.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, my question is, how do we get this girl back to the family without, I don't know, because she's got no contact. She's just rebellious. She doesn't listen to her mom.
Okay, so let me just get it straight. The mother left her right when she moved from the Philippines.
Yeah, to the America.
Okay, so she was probably with her grandparents or aunts, uncles. Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, and then her father's an alcoholic?
Yeah.
Okay, and she went no contact with them because why?
Well, one of the issues is that because of identity issues, she became a lesbian,
Okay,
and that conflicts with the family belief, Christian beliefs. I mean, and I don't want to
okay.
cause problems with your show on that.
No worries.
No,
But
not at all.
No worries.
You're free to say
yeah.
whatever you want. And so
So
okay,
the mom couldn't accept that her daughter had chosen this. In fact, what she sees is that the people she started hanging around with her just accepted her for who she was,
okay,
and that's not really.
okay. So I have a question. Why do you want to help her reconnect with her family? What's in it for her within the family that would be helpful to her?
I mean, just to get the family back together again. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
really good for a daughter to just abandon her mom, and for her mom to be no contact with her daughter. It just doesn't sound right. It's not normal.
No, I mean, it's not at all healthy for anyone involved. It's just that if she goes back into that family environment, she's going back to people, or particularly her mother, it sounds like, who does not accept her, correct?
Yeah,
Right.
but could she be making a mistake? I mean, the people, her friends who she's hanging around with, just accept whatever she wants.
Okay.
And
So I would say that the most important thing for her to do is to do her own work. She's
Yeah.
18
She
years
needs to be
old.
strong.
She needs to heal herself because we don't know why she's we don't know what her negative core belief is. We don't know if her sexuality is an acting out against her family, or if it's based on her authentic feelings about how she feels about people of similar sex. And so she needs to go on a journey of exploration and really understand her wounds of childhood, how they embedded in her, how they encoded in her, okay, and to get really, really clear within herself, because unless she's clear within herself, then she'll be a ping pong ball. So she'll be at the effect of what this group says, or at the effect of what her narcissistic cracked lens parents are saying. And so basically what she's suffering from is a lack of sense of self. Okay, and so for her to go back into her family of origin isn't going to give her her sense of self, because they're the people who cracked the lens in the first place. Okay, these people are the
yeah.
injurers, and I'm not saying that they woke up in the morning to say, I'm going to mess up my daughter today. The truth of the matter, this is multi-generational. It is not uncommon in the Philippines to come to America, leave the children behind, and then call for them years later. The problem with that is that nature doesn't care for the reasons. All people know is that if there's a huge disconnect between mother and infant, all that infant knows is that mommy's not there, mommy's abandoned me. So when mom abandons the child for whatever reason, even if it's a good reason, even if it's for the reason of making the family better, the child still experiences the abandonment. Does that make sense? And so she has to heal from the inside out. I would love to see her going through the mind map system.
At least get her book.
Yeah,
Get Judy's book.
get the book.
Yeah.
And
We already got the books, actually.
Okay.
Oh,
We're
fabulous.
trying to get to
Fabulous.
her, but there's no communication at the same time. And I'm also trying to help her mom to, try and establish communication with her so we can heal this one. But
is the mother wanting communication with her?
yeah, see, the mom is trying. Well, I researched on borderline personality disorder because that's what I thought it was.
Okay.
And I encouraged her to actually reach out to her to apologize for everything that went wrong during her childhood.
Okay.
And that both needed help.
Okay.
And recently, the mom went back to Philippines for her graduation. But when she went back to Philippines, the daughter didn't want the other family members to come to her graduation. and they had a big fight, and communication just went down.
So look, since you're the middleman and you sound like a very warm, caring person, then maybe it would be a good idea for the parents to get a little bit of education in terms of how they may have inadvertently wounded their daughter, and definitely they can't open with non-acceptance, okay? So they can't say, hey, you're not welcome because of your sexual orientation. That's not going to fly really well, is it now? Okay, no matter what they're, it's not a place to start. So if if somebody approached you and said, well, we don't want to be friends with you, we don't welcome you because of something that you've chosen at your life as a lifestyle, then that's an automatic disconnect. Wouldn't you say that? Right?
Yeah, it would be.
Okay,
yeah,
so since we're in the business of healing human disconnect, then we have to identify the disconnectors, and any sort of judgment, blame, shame is going to disconnect the mother-daughter. So they have to really focus on making a connection, not focus on the disconnection. So just going back over it, I suggest that she heal within herself. I suggest that the mother stop using disconnecting phrases with her daughter, because it's not going to heal that way. Okay, and an apology is not going to work, because if the daughter gets an apology from the mother and the mother is saying you're bad because you're a lesbian, then it's not going to connect the mother and the daughter. So they need to learn a better system of approach with each other, something that's going to be a connector, not a disconnector. So does that make sense to you?
It does make sense. Yes.
So go ahead.
For the mom, what can she do in the meantime?
Is that she has to start with loving and accepting her daughter as is. As is, okay?
Warts and all.
Yeah, as is. And let the daughter express her feelings about her mother, and for the mother to be able to accept her feelings about everything. And it would be ideal if the mother went into mother-daughter treatment later after the daughter explored her issues, because we do a lot of repair work between mother, daughter, father, daughter, son, mother, son. Okay, so they need some repair work, because what's going to happen is she's going to alienate more and more, and if she doesn't heal, she'll continue. She'll just be acting out behaviors as a rebellion, and whatever choices we make should really be based on truth choices, not choices based on rebellion.
Oh yeah.
Okay, makes sense.
Now, her mom lives in Northern Cal, and the daughter is now in Philippines. How could you arrange therapy for that?
We do teletherapy. Have the mother call me.
Not a challenge.
Yeah, not a challenge. We do she lives in Philippines. Myself, my staff members, we could do teletherapy and get her strong. And incidentally, the mother's probably full of wounds herself. Okay, so as the mother heals and the daughter heals, I think they're going to find that they have more in common than not. And as you know, when people are able to empathize with each other and understand each other's wounds, that's a connection.
And in a perfect world, it would be they would each have a therapy themselves, and then once they each figure out their issues, then it could be more of a group situation.
A mother-daughter, almost like a mother-daughter couple counseling situation.
So in the perfect world, it would be separate than together.
Yeah.
And
start with mom.
Start with mom. That's and not only start with mom, but she's got a lot of injuries. She's 18. She can heal really quickly. So she's got to get her inner sense of self down so that she's not having reactions to wounds. Okay, that's very important.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Judy. Yeah, well, I'll just pass the message and ask her to get in touch with you and set up an appointment.
Super.
So
that'd be great. And they can listen to this episode if they want.
There you go.
Yeah.
It'll be up on YouTube soon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks so much for listening and calling, and keep us posted.
So
call back sometime. Thank you.
Our pleasure.
God bless.
Okay.
Well, there you go. This topic is, we knew it would be popular, but holy moly.
Well, it's a really injurious point,
it
and
is.
if
It's
you
huge.
look on, if all of you look at the comments that come in from the YouTube episodes on topics of narcissism and topics of narcissistic injury, contact, no contact, you can see that there's a large there's such a diverse approach, and again, case by case basis. I can recall patients that I've worked with, mother-daughter, where the mother is really expecting the daughter to call her every 5 minutes, proverbially speaking, and the daughter just had to be trained to get boundaries around it. It's not like the people were super evil, but they were causing the daughter a lot of injuries and a lot of guilt.
I mean, they're so insecure that they can't stand not being connected, and
Right.
And when you're not connected, it adds, oh man.
Right. She wanted to be her daughter's best friend, and that's not the way it works. And so in this case, she didn't go no contact, but she did go boundaried contact.
Of course.
And so she will celebrate mom's and dad's birthdays and holidays, and she'll make her appearance appropriately every few weeks.
The fifth
once a
Thursday of the
month,
month they can call.
like that. And sometimes parents are a little bit trainable, or they'll put up with boundaries because they don't really want to lose their children. And then other people have gone so far that some people whose parents are just so caustic, they're so poisonous to them, they just and they're in the process of healing. So sometimes when you're in the process of healing, it's like going through psychosurgery, if you will. You don't want to expose yourself to the psycho virus with psycho as the emphasis. So you don't want to re-trigger yourself. So then don't contact your parents. Either never contact them when you're stronger, contact them in a therapist's office. There's just no right answer
Well,
here.
the operative word, I think, is boundaries.
Yeah,
right?
boundaries,
I mean,
right.
For example, that one patient that mom's calling all the time, I mean, boundaries, and my joke is raising parents is really hard
Love
work.
that. Love that, Walt. Right.
I mean, childhood is a hostage situation, but raising parents is a really hard job. It's hard work.
And ideally, it would be great if the parents got therapy,
Yes.
because they're the cause and their parents are the cause and their parents are the cause. It's multi-generational. And so the pattern and the WTF, or the what the Freud pattern, has to stop somewhere.
But that means that the parents actually have to admit there's a problem,
Right.
and they want to work on solving it.
Not manipulating other people to fit their pattern, but
Correct.
actually solving
Yeah.
their
Work toward a
issues
solution.
so that they don't have to manifest these narcissistic injuries and project them onto other people. I just want to repeat a point, which is that in cases where the person's really narcissistically injured, they end up demeaning, devaluing, destroying, and oftentimes disposing.
Yeah, that's the 4 Ds. You got
Right.
4 Ds now.
There used to be 3, and
Yeah,
I
now
added the
there's 4D.
disposing. Okay. And so
Yeah,
if that's the
disposing.
case, right?
Yeah.
If that's the case, then what are you going to do? You have to keep away. But the point that I wanted to emphasize is that because they themselves are so injured and they have such a fragile sense of self, and so their world depends on everything fitting right around them, and if they have very little tolerance for people who don't put them up on a pedestal, listen to them, abide by their rules, and so on. So they'll if you don't do what they say, when you say it, you're dismissed. Off with the head. Okay?
Off with
so
the head.
so you've got to understand that sometimes when they're spewing this bile out at you, it's because they're full of poison themselves, and so they're trying to release their poison and project
As I say,
it.
it's projection.
Right, they're projecting it on you, and if you have this negative core belief, which they created, and you hook into their projections and you let that take you down and activate your I'm not important, I'm not lovable, I'm not good enough stuff, then really what you've done is you've identified with the projection and now tag you're it and you're in pain, and so you're being dragged down. And so what do you do about that is you have to deactivate the button, which is what we do in the course of the therapy, is we've got to deactivate that negative core belief so that people can push the button, but nothing's happening. And so the biggest disappointment for a narcissistically injured person is that they try to detonate and nothing explodes. And you just kind of like, oh, well, sorry you feel that way. Or, oh, you think I'm stupid? Well, that's too bad that you see me that way.
And the one thing I've learned that the narcissists really enjoy doing is drama.
Yeah.
And if you don't give them any narcissistic supply and no drama and don't respond or react, then you've kind of taken away some of their ammunition.
And if you have to go no contact, go no contact.
Yeah,
and when
absolutely.
you cut them off, understand that they'll either seek a new source of supply or they'll try to demean, devalue, and destroy. And so in that case, you've got to protect yourself.
And unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this show. But we're going to continue this topic next week because it's
Are
just
we
so
really?
popular. Yes,
Wow,
we
wow,
are. And I'm
wow.
going to tell you. I'm going to
Okay.
tell you why, Dr. Judy, because we're going to talk about why no contact is so difficult. Got some issues with that.
Okay.
And with no contact, if you assume to go down that road, does the narcissist miss you after no contact? Okay, if we have no contact, because the other one said, "Hey, I've got no contact. I don't know where they are. I don't know if they're dead or alive or what. Do they miss me?" And there's a few issues along with that.
All right.
And negating hovering, which is that they try and woo you back.
Well, clearly there are a lot of people out there who are very, very interested in this subject, and people who truly want more information about it. So I'm happy to continue.
Absolutely.
This.
So you can contact Dr. Judy's office if you want some more information. You can write us at info, as a lot of you have, and we really appreciate the wonderful letters you've sent and emails, at info@drjudywtf.com. You can reach us at Stitcher, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, and, of course, YouTube, which a lot of you are watching. So we appreciate you commenting, sharing, liking, and subscribing. We're now going to do our segment of Shrink That Tune. And actually, this song has a little bit of history with our show. When Dr. Judy and I, back in 2013, were talking about doing the show. And
We're
Dr.
that
Judy,
old? We're that old?
Yes, we are. We were talking about doing the show. Dr. Judy was the brilliant one that came up with Shrink That Tune. And I asked her, okay, how does it work? And I pulled up this song. I don't know if you remember, but it was this one. And it was entitled, "I Can't Get No Satisfaction," by none other than, of course, the Rolling Stones. We picked this because on both sides, if you have no contact, really nobody's satisfied. So we're going to see how this one plays out.
Okay.
I can't get no satisfaction. I can't get no satisfaction because I try and I try and I try and I try and I can't get no. I can't get no.
And in the case of narcissistically injured people, family dynamics, you try to please them, you try to honor them, you try to apologize, but somehow there's no connection and there's no satisfaction, and totally no panel number 7, which some of you don't even know what I'm talking about, but what I'm talking about, there's no synergy. There's no interconnectivity.
When I'm driving in my car and the man comes on the radio and he's telling me more and more about some useless information supposed to fire imagination, I can't get no, oh no, hey, that's what I say. I can't get no satisfaction because I try and I try and I try and I try and I can't get no satisfaction.
That's interesting. That man comes on the radio and tells me more and more about some useless information. It almost sounds like a disconnect, doesn't it? That somebody's talking at you, not talking to you. Supposed to fire my imagination. So it's almost like you're living in your own imaginary world, but they're not connecting to you. So this is just another description, I think, of the human disconnect of not having any satisfaction. There's no communication there.
Well, when I'm watching my TV and the man comes on to tell me how white my shirts can be, but he can't be a man because he doesn't smoke the same cigarettes as me, I can't get no. Oh no. Hey, that's what I say. I can't get no satisfaction because I try and I try and I try and I try and I can't get no.
So it almost sounds like the judgment. The person is advertising nice white shirts, and the person who's seeing this is saying, that person's not like me. He doesn't know me. He doesn't smoke the same cigarettes as me. In other words, he doesn't really understand who I am. He's not really with me. And so